Bitcoin has risen to another record, $123,000 US and climbing. It's about 200 grand Australian for one. Now, it is volatile, but so far this year it's up 29%. Joining us live to discuss this rise is crypto analyst at BTC Markets, Rachael Lucas. Thanks for your time this morning, Rachael. So why is it so high right now?
Well, good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me. The breakout is largely driven by institutional inflows. To put that in perspective, in just 5 days, the Bitcoin ETFs brought in $2.7 billion US dollars. Now, that's really significant. Talking in terms of BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager, their ETF IBIT now manages $84 billion US dollars on its own. So across the board, ETFs are holding around 6% of Bitcoin's total market cap. Now, this is something we've never seen in previous bull markets. So what we're looking at is a deep structural demand that's not just short-term momentum.
So you've also got this week in the US, Rachael, you've got Crypto Week. So the US House of Reps is debating 3 industry-friendly bills. Plus, we know that Donald Trump is on the side. So does all of this help legitimize it?
Yeah, correct. You're pretty much nailed it spot on. So what we're seeing is basically the regulatory framework in the US is now on the side of Bitcoin. So in previous administration cycles, we've seen the regulatory framework in the US be really harsh on the digital asset industry. So what happened was when Trump came into power and started backing the crypto industry, what he talked about was actually regulating, so bringing in legislation that allowed companies like BlackRock to be able to provide ETFs to corporate and institutions so that they'd actually have a safe place to actually gain Bitcoin exposure.
So when you've got this figure that's so high, and I seem to recall Richard Branson, though, saying years ago that he believes one Bitcoin could get up to 250,000. But should folks... Yeah, sorry, I mean...
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not far off it.
Yeah, so, So, I mean, he's going to be right, it seems. So, but when it's so high, do you think folks should be treading with caution? Or do you think, like Branson indicated, that there's more gas left in the tank?
Well, right now we're at around 123,000. We do have some short-term resistance at 125. Resistance means it's basically where it would top and people would start taking profit and it'll roll over. I think with any markets, whether you're in equities, whether you're in gold, whether you're in silver, you definitely need to take a step back and try not to get caught up in FOMO. The one thing that Bitcoin has going for it is that it is a decentralized asset. It isn't controlled by anybody, and it's also what we call a deflationary asset class, whereas there is a fixed supply. It is a computer code. It's probably a little bit long-winded to get into it in this episode, but what it means is it basically cannot be printed into oblivion like fiat currency can. So, I mean, to kind of keep it in mind, Bitcoin has now overtaken silver and is actually fighting with Amazon to make it the 5th largest asset globally. So many new investors are viewing it as a digital complement to gold, particularly given this fixed supply and decentralized nature that I mean,
it is seen as a safe haven, isn't it, though? Like gold, it's where people run when stock markets are behaving erratically. I mean, I still don't understand it. I don't understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I've tried to, but I'm still not there. But it's going to be here for a long time, isn't it, permanently?
Yeah, well, now that it's actually going on corporate treasury balance sheets and you're looking at it as a sovereign store of wealth as well, you've got the US administration and that's where all the liquidity and the supply comes from, is from the US. So we are the Bitcoin industry and specifically cryptocurrency is quite responsive to liquidity. It is considered a risk-on asset, and that is because of the volatility. Like with any asset, the larger it grows, the slower it moves. So very similar to gold, for instance, which is obviously the largest asset class in the world. It moves quite slowly. So Bitcoin, obviously being, now the 6th largest asset, is starting to move a lot slower. So the volatility will decrease over time. but the supply is not going up. And that's one thing that people need to keep in mind is there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever printed. And they're saying that there is a percentage of that that has been lost. There is a guy that lost quite a significant amount of Bitcoin in a laptop that he accidentally threw out. And he's been petitioning, a government overseas to actually dig that up in a landfill, and he keeps losing his case.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I think it comes back to the supply crunch, and that's what we're seeing at the moment, is because you've got your BlackRock and your corporate treasuries coming in and taking the supply off exchanges, they're actually pulling it out of circulation, and that's what we're seeing right now is a supply squeeze.
Okay. Good to have you with us this morning, Rachel. Thank you so much for explaining that. Yeah, it's just been a stunning rise like gold, but slowing down a bit lately. But anyway, it's an amazing story to watch that.